really have a lot of chances to tell stories and share with people what is going on in our life. I'm really appreciative of your Cap asking me to be the main speaker, keynote speaker for today. A little bit of our culture, a little bit of boarding school, what happened in sobriety, and where do we go from here? A lot of things going on with our people today, and especially in terms of how we can carry things forward for our people. And I'm a product of boarding school. At a young age, 13, when shipped off to Wrangell Institute, and quite an experience. And I don't talk about it very often. Very traumatic experiences that we went through there. Fred will talk about that. And, it's just overwhelming to what humans can go through. And you just cannot imagine how much as Native people that we have to cope with in doing this kind of thing. And standing here today and saying that this is how it is. And it takes a lot for our people to step forward and proclaim victory over addiction of alcohol and drugs. And I grew up as subsistence, what they call, I don't know, they call me subsistence hunter. I don't know what that means, but I hunt and fish for my food. And when I was growing up, I grew up on native food. That's all I ate, native food. And by this time of year, I ate so much muskrat and duck and geese, and I was hungry for fish. Time to eat fish, you eat fish from July till freeze-up time. It's no store-bought food those days. Very seldom you get food. I think one of our native food is spam. I tell them I cook that for native spam and pilot bread. They kind of wonder about that. Today you call it sandwich, or you call it finger food. You have so much food these days. Sometimes I don't know even what I'm eating, you know. Talk about food, native food. And when you're brought up in a native way, a native style, and all of a sudden it's like a chapter change in your life. You wake up to electricity. You wake up to get on an airplane. You wake up to a room full of other kids. You know, everything that happened to us in boarding school was just, we call it the prison. It was just regulated so bad that when we came back from school, I know my parents talked to me in Tanana. They talked to me in our language, and I understand what they're saying, and they kind of look at me and Suzanne, you look at me and say, Suzanne, you look at me, and I'm just sitting there like this, you know. But Adi, native word. Wait. See. My mother came over to me. Suzanne, Tanaka. Yeah, I understand you, Mom. I know what you're saying. How come you don't talk to me in our language? Blind stare, kind of staring off in the distance and say, father struggled with me. I came back wondering what happened to the boy. When I got up, get up, I told myself I was really whipped for that situation. I stood up. In my heart, I said, there's something inside me that you will never take away. There's something, I don't care how bad you beat me and anything. I don't care what you do to me. There's something inside me that you'll never touch. I told myself that 13-year-old boy. And then when school was out, I went home to my mom. When she talked to me in our language, I didn't say nothing. I also said, and probably the same breath, the hell with my language, the hell with my culture, all that stuff, you know. I don't want to do that. I don't even talk my language anymore. You see. That's how I felt coming home from boarding school. And for 25 years, I never said anything. But that's amazing. Once you get this stuff into you, it's amazing how you can get this stuff and hide it and not say anything about it, you know. A lot of us are like that. Those of us, some people, a lot of people sitting here today, boarding school experience. And that's the way we felt for a long time. Shut ourselves up on that. As close as I am to my mother and dad, I never did tell them for 25 years what I'm telling you this morning. Never said anything. And then it just led me into alcohol and drugs after that. And then one day a friend, after a long bench, a friend came to me. Been out all night, been on a lawn bench in Anchorage. Couldn't stop drinking for a long time. I finally came to my room, and I was in pretty bad shape. I was really out of it. I think about it now, and just by the grace of God that guy came by my hotel that day. I just think about how it happened, the sequence, the steps that took place for that to happen. And then when he came to my room, holy cow, what happened? Look at me, man. Something came loose in my stomach, and blood all over my nose, my mouth, blood was coming out, passing blood. He said, Luke, you're one sick man, I'm going to take you to the clinic hospital in Anchorage. He took me over there, and the doctor was there, checked me, and I thank that doctor today, because when I was ready to leave, you know, doctors will tell you right out, right straightforward. They just tell you what's wrong with you. And being in denial for 25 years, you know, it just goes in one ear and come out the other. That's the way we are. And when that doctor talked to me that day, and he just sat down, right? He put up his chair. I remember put up his chair to where I was, you know, I was really sick. And he put up that chair and he said, Luke, he said, you're one sick man. Shake his head. You're a real sick man. He said, you could do two things. See, you could quit drinking, you live longer, see. But the way you are today, you say, Luke, you're just killing yourself with alcohol. I started crying. See, Doc, I want to quit drinking. You know what he tell me is when I put his hand on my shoulder like this, put his hand on my shoulder. You know, I remember this very plainly because it's always in my mind. Yesterday they asked me to talk about luck, you know, and when that doctor, when I was leaving his office, he put his hand on my shoulder and he told me, good luck, Luke. Boy, I think about that word for a long time. It was a heck of a struggle to stay sober after that. After abusing alcohol for 25 years, I went home. I was one sick man. No kind of program in the village. Nothing. I went home and I started to think about how I could stay sober, and I was walking around shaking. I was so nervous that I wanted to stay sober. No alcohol program in the village, nothing. And I really struggled with that. I struggled with the thought that how am I going to do this? What kind of help is there for me to go through? My mother and father wrote to me before I came back from school. They wrote me a letter. They said, son, we both quit drinking. And they were both sober. We got saved, we gave our heart to the Lord, and we're saved now. We don't drink anymore. For me to see that, I doubted it. Right away I thought, well, how long is this going to last? You know, kind of attitude I had. But that came to my mind, I thought, what they said. And when I went home, and one day I thought to myself, I was really ashamed to go out in my village. I didn't want to see anybody. Why? Because I was thinking to myself, I wonder what my people will think when they find out that their pastor or Father Luke is an alcoholic. That was a big thing in my mind in the village. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to see anybody. I really thought about that part. What will they think about their pastor being an alcoholic? Because, you know, how word gets out in the village. Somebody says something and boy, spreads. And I went down to my mother, a Christian person, and one of those days when I was feeling sorry for myself, went into her house, and I sat down by her on the couch. I went, this is my mother. She loved me. She's the one that brought me into the world. She's going to help me. I was thinking that. So I sat down by Mom. Mom, I need prayer. You know what my thinking was? I thought my mom was going to lock me up. I thought she was going to put her arm around me. And I thought she was going to feel sorry for me. But she just kind of looked at me, like that. You ever get that feeling when somebody talks to you, your spouse talks to you, he says something to you, and you don't believe them, and you kind of, what is he up to? He's lovey-dovey today, kind of attitude. But when my mother said that, I wanted her to pet me. I wanted her to feel sorry for me. And that's the attitude I had. And you know what she said? One of the most powerful words in sobriety. I'll never forget those words. Like I said, she was just looking at me, not touching me or anything. She just said, pray for yourself. Ooh, man, I got mad. I was mad. I thought my mom was going to love me up and set me off and pat me on the back and all that. But when she said to pray for yourself, I was so angry. I put on the jacket, slammed the door, and went out. When I did that, I was walking, and I thought about an old native man talk to me. He said, one of these days, you could do this thing. You could try this thing, native way. And I was hungover, I was sick. I didn't want to eat. But walking down the street, I got off on a trail. I started walking back, what they call the loop. I started walking back there. This old man said, if you see a tree by the trail, okay, go over to that tree. So I went over there. I saw a fruit tree by the trail. I went over to that tree. And I sat there. And I was thinking, I don't know what kind of native thing is going to come over me. Probably overwhelming experience or something like that, I might see the good light from heaven. My alcoholic mind was thinking like that. So I sat under that tree, and I took that word from my mother. And I started saying my own prayer, all by myself. My mother said a good word to me that day. And I started praying for myself. Being a pastor, being a priest, man, I prayed a long time before that day, all kind of prayers I said. But this prayer was special. I'll tell you why. Because I was crying out for help. I was crying out for somebody to come and get me, rescue me. I was crying out, I want help. That's what alcoholics want to do. And that's what I was doing under that tree that day. And for the first time I ever said, I accept you, and I want you to help me with my sobriety. One of the biggest help I ever had. And I'm not going to deny it. I pray for myself. Thank you, Mom, for this word. Thank you for being so obnoxious and straightforward and down-to-earth person. Very few people are like that. So I got up and I experienced school. I began to see little things happening in my sobriety. And somebody told me about Alcoholics Anonymous, so I called them up. And they referred me to 12-step program. And this is out in the village, I remember now. There's no AA program in Minto. There's nobody, no counselor there. I had to do this by myself, but I had resources to help me to do that. People that talked to me about those kind of things. And slowly I began to see where things began to happen. The other thing I'd like to emphasize is that they tell me to make a list, write down a list and, for the things and to help me. So I wrote down a list. What was the first thing they put on my list? And one of the hardest, to me, it was the hardest on the list, that big list they gave me. One of the hardest things they told me to do, change your friends. Man, I had all the girls' phone numbers and all my boy friends and girlfriends, and I had them all, and all the party people. Remember that? When you come from Minto to town, you call up all your buddies. Hey, I'm in town, Oh, good, come over. We know you got your check. You have your buddies out there. So one of the things that you have to do is this. And my counselor did this to me, so I learned. Let me see your list, you think. My goodness. Trash can. Hey, wait a minute. Gee, that's all my friends, You say, yeah, all your friends go in the trash. I had a hard time with that one. I had a hard time to change that to AA meeting. Quite an experience. How many of us go to AA meeting? Been to AA meeting. First thing I experienced in going to AA meeting is people introduce themselves. I'm Jim, I'm an alcoholic. I'm Betty, I'm an alcoholic. They go around the room. They take turns. It came to my turn. I'm Lou. I'm not an alcoholic. My friend Fred is. There's a challenge in life. Challenge is that you don't think about, do these things. Begin to see where this was taking me, what was happening in my life. Couple of things I like to point out. In the sobriety movement, in the time that we work for ourselves, there's always a challenge. There's always something that's there for us to face in this new life. One of them may be changing friends. Another challenge I thought would work for me is that, hey, I got, my wife is here with me, and she never had a drink in her life, okay? And if I just be nice to her, talk nice to her, instead of how I'm feeling, as an alcoholic, she'll understand. Never do that. Never get a family member involved like that. Get another alcoholic, another addict to work with you. That's what I found out. When I start talking to my wife, she don't know what I'm saying. She don't have a clue as to what I was going through, the feelings that I was having. She didn't know what it was. And yet, I'm like a stupid person I was, I began to unload on her. Instead of all these things, poor things, she left there. And I think I got help for myself and leave her there. Don't ever do that to another person. So when I joined AA, I was having coffee one day, and waiting for the mail plane to come to Minto to pick me up. And I had my coffee sitting by the table, and this was after I sobered up. This was after I started going back to meetings. And, funny thing happened. Strange thing happened. I was all by myself. Nobody was home with me. I sat there with my cup. The light bulb comes on. First thing I'm going to go do is I'm going to go get my check, per diem check. How many of us know what per diem check is? Yeah, we know what per diem check is. So I had got my per diem check. I'm going to go cash the check. I'm going to go have a few drinks. I'm going to do this. I'm making plans all by myself at home. Boy, I slapped myself. I wouldn't recommend you do that, but kind of wake up. Hey, Luke, come out of it. So I call Alcoholics Anonymous, an 800 number. And they say, don't worry about it. We'll have somebody meet you at the airport when you come in from Minto. And this guy was there. He picked me up. He took me around. And then he took me back to the airport, out Fairbanks International Airport. Took me, hey, you'll be okay, he told me. And I kind of question mark went up in my mind. So I don't know. There's a bar right up the stairs before you get on the plane. Remember that? There's another bar when you get off the plane in Anchorage. Right down the hallway, there's another bar. I tell him, like guy, I tell him, I don't know. He said, here, let me walk with you, let me go with you. And then he quickly gave me a number for Anchorage. And when I got to Anchorage, there was another AA number waiting for me. A big help to my sobriety, knowing people. Remember, I threw my list away. I had a lot of big list for Anchorage, you know. And he gave me another person to go with me. Another thing that happened in that sequence, I'm coming toward the end of the story now, is that after all this happened, after everything began to kind of taper off, getting stronger, I went by myself, and one of the native things that we are asked to do is to go back where this thing happened. Holy cow. Go back to days in and relive that time, that moment when I was sick. Native way. I don't know if I could do it, but I did it anyway. I went back to days in. A lot of memories kicked in, a lot of things kicked in about that lifestyle. A significant thing happened to me that day. I was gonna go out for dinner. I was all by myself just after I sobered up, downtown Anchorage. And I was standing by the hotel door, the room. I was standing outside. Good guy standing over there. He came over, I watched him, he came over to where I was standing. What are you doing? He told me. Getting ready to go eat. Oh, good, he said. Can I go with you? I said, sure. Hi, my name is Eskimo guy. shake hands, went to the restaurant, sat down to eat. He said, Luke, he said, I'm glad I met you. Glad you're here. He said, I just lost my wife not too long ago, and I'm thinking about going out. He said, you're standing there, and for some reason I had to come meet you. And yeah, Sebastian Cowboy. Glad to meet you. We became friends that day. Sober friends. To this day, still walking up sobriety trail together and seeing these things happen to us. And as you begin to walk that trail, you begin to see these things happen. And I'm going to close with this, that when I felt so ashamed about myself. I don't know if you have prayer group in your village, but the prayer group called me if they want you to come over to the prayer meeting. I went over there. They didn't say anything to me. They just get a chair and make me sit in the center. One of the most powerful things I ever experienced. Remember what I said about being ashamed, or not wanting to face my people, not wanting to look at them? Remember I said that? There's these same people all around me. Here are the same people putting their hands on me, touching me. Here are the same people praying for me. And not a word about being an alcoholic, not a word about what happened in the past. I went away from that place reassured that I have people, I have supporters that back me up. And I began to find people like that all over wherever I go. And from this experience that I had in being raised up from that punishment, also that this happened, another Eskimo person came into my life. And he said, I'm going to say prayer for you. This was the Sheraton Hotel in Anchorage. See, I went home not thinking too much about it. But one day, I was all by myself. Nobody was in the house. And something came to me. Hey ho, yeah, hey ho, yeah, hey ho. Hey, I'm talking, I'm singing the Nakanaka. Hey, I'm singing my language. I got kind of excited, because it kind of surprised me that I did this. I jumped up and I happened to look up. My father had passed away. Dad passed away. Bless his heart, he left his drum at my house. I saw that drum. I got that drum and I brushed it off. Never think, never can, I got that drum and I was supposed to have one today, but they didn't bring it, so I had that drum and I started singing. And I really surprised myself how I remembered that part of in our culture, how that part in my life, like I said, this flame that I talked about, that they'll never take away, it just kind of blossomed, kind of went out. I stand up and I started singing. One of the powerful things that our native culture offers that we should not be ashamed of also And I thank you people for being a part of my life today. I just want to share that. And I bless you to all of you. Thank you. God bless.